Tonight, the Prime Minister pitches a 10-year, $196 billion healthcare plan to Canada's premiers, with strings attached. Also, a Regina man grieves family members killed in Syria as stories of hope and heartbreak emerge in Turkey and Syria. Plus,
I am just so elated and so excited about all of this.
Oh, I know.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you again.
a Saskatoon woman who used her car to advertise for a kidney donor finds her match.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, February 7th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Ottawa has revealed its offer to boost healthcare spending over the next decade, and it's a big number, roughly $200 billion. But given how important healthcare is and the strain on the system, the premiers are saying it's not enough. Marina von Stackelberg has more.
Canada's premiers have an offer on the table from Ottawa. The provinces and territories provide healthcare, but the federal government helps pay for it. Now it's offering to spend more, but the premiers say they're disappointed.
There wasn't a lot in the way of new funding. I think we were a little disappointed at that.
This proposal is fiscally limited, but I think that it provides a foundation and some reassurance.
The proposed deal is this. The federal government will increase health funding by $196 billion over the next decade. That includes $46 billion in new spending. Some is coming right away. Ottawa will immediately send $2 billion with no strings attached. That's to help fix urgent issues like packed children's hospitals, emergency departments, and long surgery wait times.
What we see this as is a starting point. It's a down payment on further discussions.
Ottawa is also offering a total of $25 billion for individual tailored deals with provinces and territories. But to get that money, premiers must promise to spend it on specific fixes. Those are increasing family doctor access, dealing with procedure backlogs, supporting mental health, and improving how they collect and share health data.
One thing will be consistent. Each will need to provide transparent information so that your healthcare system is accountable and you can be sure that real improvements are being made.
There is also $4 billion in new money to increase personal support worker wages and tackle Indigenous health issues.
I'll be spending the next day really digesting what was presented. I think there's always more we could try and secure.
The provinces and territories have been asking Ottawa for years for more money for their healthcare systems. So the premiers say they plan to meet not within the next few months or weeks, but days to decide what to do with the offer so money can start flowing soon. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Ottawa's proposal includes $2 billion in new cash for Indigenous-specific health initiatives to improve access to high-quality and culturally safe healthcare services. Here's what Premier Moe had to say about that offer and the need to study the federal government's pitch in more detail.
My initial understanding of that particular fund was that would be federally delivered, and so it wouldn't have really much of an impact on any of the provincially delivered healthcare systems that are that we operate here. So, that's an example of why I think we need a couple of days to digest and our teams to digest the detailed information that we're provided with today, figure out exactly what type of an impact it does have for each of us, and then come back with a response as to where we are going with this funding and what ultimately we could utilize it for, and what type of a difference it may or may not make.
The next formal in-person meeting of the premiers is expected to happen this summer. In Turkey and Syria, the death toll related to yesterday's powerful earthquake has now risen to 7,200, and that number is still expected to rise. Here in Saskatchewan, a Syrian family is grieving for loved ones they know to be dead and fearing for others unaccounted for. Regina resident Abdelkarim Al-Eloui says he hasn't slept since news of the earthquake. He scrolls through news articles and social media posts on his phone, heartbroken by the devastation in his homeland. His wife learned today her niece died in Syria, as did children in their extended family. Now he worries about his aunt and her large family.
I contact with my aunt daily, but 2 days I lost the contact. I think she is dead. I think because every hour I hearing the news about some friend die, some relative die, children.
Al Eloui worries his aunt and other relatives have been crushed under collapsed houses. He clings to hope that they're alive, but unable to contact him due to power outages. He stays glued to his phone and waits. Canada is sending $10 million in initial relief funding to Syria and Turkey. International search and rescue teams are flooding into affected areas to help. Abby Kuathasan has more on the day's developments.
Almost everyone is looking for someone. In Turkey, this man listens for a woman's voice from under a flattened building. Near the epicenter in Gaziantep, a city of more than 2 million people, first responders are thanked for saving a life. Many more lives are in peril across southeastern Turkey. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has now declared a month-long state of emergency in 10 provinces.
We have a lot of people on the ground. 14,000 was the latest figure, with 3,400 heavy lifting cranes and machines.
The rescue effort is growing, with search teams pouring into the country from around the world. For those who've been lucky enough to escape being buried under toppling buildings, now finding they have no homes to go to while facing freezing temperatures. In Syria, too, that same fear, but a divided conflict zone means a divided quake zone. Opposition-held areas already had scarce resources. The United Nations says the one route into the region is no longer usable after the quake. Here, the white helmets continue to operate, doing what they've been doing throughout the civil war, pulling people from the rubble. Look at your father, the rescuer says to the toddler buried up to her chest in debris in the town of Genderes. Her little face, covered in dust, turns to look. Nur is alive, seeing the light after more than 24 hours of darkness. The white helmets say there are thousands more to be saved.
We know as the time passes, we lose people. It's bigger than us. It needs international efforts.
But there is concern the Assad regime, set on gaining back lost territory, may prevent aid from reaching opposition-controlled areas where more than 4 million people face a looming humanitarian disaster. Abby Kuathasan, CBC News, London.
The fatal injuries of a 3-month-old boy from Regina were presented in court today. It was day 2 of the manslaughter trial of the boy's father. Catlin Goodwill is accused of causing the death of his 3-month-old son, Keenan Spencer, in October of 2017. The Crown called 2 pathologists to describe autopsy results. They testified they found bruising on the back of Keenan's head, as well as bleeding inside his skull. They concluded blunt force trauma was the cause of death. However, they were unable to determine what caused the trauma. The trial is scheduled to run through the rest of the week. A 44-year-old woman is dead, and Saskatoon police have taken 2 people of interest into custody. Police were called to this scene on the western edge of the city at 4 a.m. after a report of suspicious activity. Traffic was restricted on Range Road 3062 near the intersection with 11th Street West for some time this morning for what police were calling a suspicious death. This afternoon, Saskatoon police revealed a woman is dead and that the investigation is now a homicide. We don't know how she died, and her family did ask police not to release her name. Police have detained a 37-year-old woman and a 43-year-old man as persons of interest, but so far no charges have been laid. Anyone with information is asked to contact Saskatoon police. Now an update to a story we first brought you last summer. A Saskatoon woman who desperately needs a kidney transplant began advertising for one on her car, and now she's found a perfect match. Bonnie Allen has more.
Come on in. Hello there. see you.
Good to see you again.
Brent Kruger and Debbie Onashenko are still getting to know each other. They were strangers last August when Kruger decided he'd like to give Onashenko one of his kidneys.
I am just so elated and so excited about all of this. It's really starting to sink in now.
Last summer, Onashenko became desperate for a kidney. She'd been living with diabetes for decades, and suddenly she only had 9% kidney function. So she made a bold appeal plastered on her car with her blood type and the words, "Share your spare."
There are just so many people on the waiting on the donor list right now for a deceased donor that my chances were not that great.
She shared her story with several media outlets, including CBC News, and it caught Kruger's attention.
I talked to God a lot, and it was one of those things where it was almost like a light shone down from heaven.
Kruger is one of 5 strangers who agreed to get tested.
From the beginning of September to the middle of January, they probably took 40 vials of blood.
And it was during one visit to the hospital for some of that testing that Kruger and Onashenko finally met in person by accident.
And all of a sudden he yells out, "Debbie!" And I recognized his voice, and he said, "It's Brent!" And we just ran to each other and hugged.
And now, finally, the good news. Kruger is a perfect match.
First of all, he wrote me a poem, which was so amazing.
I said, roses are red, violets are blue. I have a kidney, and I'll give it to you.
At first it didn't click. And then all of a sudden, this is real. And I was just crying, and his wife was crying in the background, and we were all excited. And I just said, thank you, God.
They're waiting for a surgery date. Kruger encourages others to explore organ donation to change or save a life. Bonnie Allen, CBC News.
Oh, it's a beautiful day to get out for a walk in Regina and soak up that sunshine. We really are seeing some significant melting in the Queen City and other parts of the province. It's really the perfect weather to also check out the outdoor hubs at Regina's Frost Festival as well. Ethan will join us from one of them after the break with your full forecast. Stay with us. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have announced their coaching and football operations staff for the 2023 season. Vice President and GM Jeremy O'Day and head coach Craig Dickinson both return, as does defensive coordinator Jason Shivers. Former running backs coach Kelly Jeffrey is the team's new offensive coordinator. 2 new coaches will be very familiar to Rider fans. Former Riders All-Star receiver Naaman Roosevelt will be the offensive assistant. And after 10 years as CFL quarterback and 3 seasons away from the league, Drew Tate returns to the Roughriders as the receivers coach. CFL training camps open up May 14th. A men's curling team from Regina will represent Saskatchewan at the Brier next month. Kelly Knapp guided his team to its first provincial title on Sunday in Estevan, a win made even more special for Knapp with his twin brother at his side. Daniela Ponticelli brings us their story.
Kelly Knapp has prepared for this exact moment, throwing the final stone, tied in the 10th end with a championship on the line.
It's curling hard now. He's got room. He's got the hit.
It's just the way that you dream of it. To win a tankard is amazing, but to have it come down to the last shot with your brother, your best friends, that intensity, that reaction, I mean, it was just extra special.
Knapp's team beat Swift Current's Steve Laycock 5-4 to score their first provincial title. It has been a long road for the brothers, who have curled together on and off for more than 20 years. And unlike their teammates, their names have never before graced a tankard trophy.
These are tankards Kelly and I have competed in too. So we've seen these guys win before.
Yeah, so we weren't happy about these.
Yeah, exactly.
Skip Kelly calls the team a well-oiled machine. It includes Brennan Jones at third, Mike Armstrong at second, and his brother Trent at lead. Dustin Kidby is their alternate, and Brian McCusker is their coach. The second-year rink trains in Regina at the Highland Curling Club. The Highland is planning a send-off for the team before it heads to the Brier in London, Ontario next month. Saskatchewan has not won the National Men's Curling Championship since 1980. The skip for Team Nap says with fans in the province wanting that win, they want to be the ones to deliver.
We're 4 Sasky guys, and we're hoping that people are really excited that they have a new team there.
They will compete against 17 other teams at the Brier starting March 3rd. The winner will represent Canada at the World Championship in April. Until then, the Knapp brothers say they will enjoy the whirlwind of reaching the top and finally representing their home province. Daniela Ponticelli, CBC News, Regina.
This weather update is brought to you by the Capital Automotive Group. Trade and upgrade is on now.
Well, it is the perfect weather to be outside, and that's where we find our weather specialist, Ethan Williams. Tell us about the Frost Festival hub that we find you at.
Yes, we are here at Frost at downtown, Sam, and of course you can see the skaters behind us. There's also some croquis curl here too, and maybe if sports aren't your thing, there are some other activities here, including a little warm-up shack. You've got some artwork too, and there's even Indigenous storytelling in some teepees. But it's been a beautiful evening to come down and check out the activities here. In fact, let's take a look at our current temperatures right now. And that warm front has extended really all the way northward, and even portions of the Churchill region getting some very nice temperatures. But it's really through south and central Saskatchewan where we are seeing the very nice weather tonight. Temperatures still above freezing in many sections, and that has been the story these past couple of days. And I think it's going to be the story over the next few days too. Aside from a bit of a cool down tomorrow, I think a couple of ridges in our upper atmosphere are going to be providing some very nice warm air over these next few days into the weekend. And even into the beginning of next week, I think things will remain fairly warm still. But that doesn't mean we aren't going to see a little bit of messy weather. There is a low pressure system that's moving in from Alberta tonight, starting to bring some flurries, light snow, maybe even a little bit of freezing rain in sections of central Saskatchewan. And then that system shifts through the south of the province tomorrow afternoon. Freezing rain possible for places like Regina and Weyburn and Estevan as we head through the afternoon. But the system is largely going to be out of our hair by the time we get to the end of the day tomorrow and into early Thursday morning. And as we go through Thursday, we actually see some clearing conditions, things looking much nicer for Thursday and for Friday. In terms of snowfall amounts, highest amounts I think from this will be around 5 centimeters. There's kind of a band from the Alberta border there over to around Bigger, and then southeast toward Watrous and Manitou, where there could be about 5 centimeters, including around Saskatoon. 2 to 4 in the southwest, Regina and the southeast. I don't think it's a whole lot of snow for us. In terms of rainfall accumulation, I think this, as usual, is a little bit on the heavy side, but there could be a millimeter or two of some freezing rain in there, so highway hotline will be a good thing to check before heading out tomorrow. Bit breezy this afternoon in northern sections of the province and in the southwest of the province this afternoon as well. Many of us are getting a reprieve from those winds, but tomorrow, as that system moves in, we are looking for gusts to start picking up. Could be up to 70 kilometers an hour in southwestern sections. That shifts through the south of the province heading into tomorrow evening. And then as we get into Thursday, though, it looks like winds are going to die down. They might pick up a little bit in the southwest, but most of us going to see a relatively calm day heading into Thursday. Our 7-day forecast for Regina, again, with this system tomorrow, I think we're looking for about 1 centimeter or so. Temperatures should be hovering around the freezing mark, and then things a little cooler the day after with that cold front moving through, but some nice sunny conditions. And in Saskatoon, again, I think probably around 5 centimeters or so. Kind of a chilly overnight Wednesday into Thursday with the cold front, and then the sunshine returns. Warm temperatures are back. Warm enough to come out and enjoy the Frost Festival, including here this evening in downtown Regina, Sam.
All right, Ethan, have fun. Well, some lucky ducks from Nova Scotia got to come inside from the cold last weekend. You'll remember temperatures there dropped to record lows. The owners brought the 5 indoors to enjoy some family time. Furniture was rearranged, hay was brought in, a cozy blanket, and an extra heater fired up to keep them nice and toasty warm. We'll be back after the break. A CBC News investigation has found that many well-known retailers have been sharing your data with Facebook's parent company, Meta. This after the Federal Privacy Commissioner took Home Depot to task for doing just that. Thomas Daigle has the details.
From Best Buy to PetSmart, Bed Bath & Beyond to Lululemon, shoppers at some of Canada's biggest retailers had their personal details shared with Facebook, whether customers were told or not.
Damn, okay, that's pretty interesting. Did not know that.
It annoys me, but I'm not surprised.
The Federal Privacy Commissioner recently called out Home Depot for sending e-receipt information to Facebook owner Meta without getting consent from in-store shoppers.
Any organization that has a similar practice is in breach of privacy law in Canada and has to stop this practice.
CBC News reviewed data downloaded from the profiles of several Facebook users. The files showed purchase records from multiple prominent retailers.
We found at least, I think, 8 different stores.
We shared our findings with privacy expert Opiemi Akonbi at Toronto Metropolitan University.
It might feel invasive, but a lot of these companies just think that it's the price they have to pay to get a better sense of what people are doing.
Meta uses the data to tell retailers how online ads lead to in-store purchases. But lawyer Tony Merchant says there's more to it than that. He's launching a class action against Home Depot for its data sharing practices.
Facebook takes a bit of information, ties it into a big package that you would not want to be out there about you.
Hudson's Bay says for now, it's stopped giving customer data to Meta. Most other retailers we uncovered, including beauty product store Sephora and fashion chain Anthropologie, wouldn't comment.
Meta declined to say how many chains in Canada share details about their customers. None of the businesses would tell us whether they warn shoppers. Their details may not be kept secret. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
Still cloudy tomorrow morning in Regina at -2. Winds will be fairly light though. And as we head through the afternoon tomorrow, we may even get a few sunny breaks heading toward the noon hour. Winds picking up just a little bit. It'll still be mostly cloudy before we see a chance of some light snow come the afternoon. In Saskatoon, chance of flurries tomorrow morning with that increasing cloudiness. Maybe some fog patches even possible in the morning hours. Northeast winds starting to pick up a little bit, and then they'll really get going around the noon hour where we will be close to 40-45 kilometers an hour. That's when our snow is likely going to be starting. If you're coming down here this evening to Frost at downtown, pretty nice evening, -3 in Regina, some nice light winds, some fog is possible, and the ice is pretty nice, Sam, if you're looking to join the future Haley Wickenheisers and Wayne Gretzky's of Regina.
All right, thanks, Ethan. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ethan will abandon downtown to be back to host the 11 o'clock news tonight. Thanks for watching and have a great night.